News alert: new signs of an escalation of violence in Syria. Rebel groups claiming that Bashar al-Assad's regime has killed hundreds of people, and some of the victims young children, in a gas attack near Damascus. This as we're getting this footage of rebels exchanging gunfires with government snipers in the Syrian capital. Syria's government denying reports that its troops used chemical weapons, calling those claims baseless. But of course, they've said that before. General Jack Keane joins us, Fox News military analyst, served as four-star general and Army Vice Chief of Staff. General, good to see you as always. I looked at the video this morning. We cannot show most of it because it is so horrific. I can describe it. Dead children, their eyes wide open. Others struggling to breathe in the throes of death, convulsing. It's just awful. Is Bashar al-Assad, in your judgment, likely using chemical weapons, and doing so yet again because he knows, threats notwithstanding from President Obama, there will be no consequences?
You know, absolutely. I mean, it's likely, given those videos, this is exactly what it is, probably sarin gas. And this is a pattern that he's used when he first used artillery against the population, no reaction. He moved to attack helicopters, he got no reaction. Then he moved to the use of air power, no reaction. And now he's using chemical weapons, probably for the third or fourth time. He uses these weapons because obviously they have military value. They do kill people. But equally, and probably more importantly for him, they're a weapon of terror, and they intimidate the population. He's trying to break the will of the people who are supporting the rebel forces.
Well, Russia, Iran, and Hezbollah are supporting Assad, and yet the rebels are still there, right?
Yeah, interesting enough. And one of the reasons, I believe, for this use of sarin gas in the vicinity of Damascus is, despite the momentum that Assad clearly has in this war now, the rebels are not going away. And he does not, Greg, have the capability to defeat them. Interesting enough, in recent weeks, the rebels have made inroads into neighborhoods in Damascus and have taken them. And I believe there's a correlation between that success the rebels have had in and around Damascus and the use of these weapons as well.
Some in Congress have been urging a no-fly zone that the United States could participate in and enforce over parts of Syria, especially the northern part. Also, the use of missiles to degrade Syria's military power. What else can be done to shift the momentum back to the rebels?
Well, if you look at it from a military perspective, listen, there are geopolitical consequences of any option you select to use, and all of them have adverse consequences. But if you desire to shift the momentum back to the rebels, to move in a direction of a favorable outcome for them, two things can be done. Arm them with anti-tank and anti-aircraft weapons, not small arms, which I believe the United States is doing. And number two, conduct a limited standoff attack against Syrian Air Force using primarily cruise missiles. You do not have to deal with the Syrian integrated air defense. You can take down his airfields, take down the infrastructure that supports air power, and the resupply bases that the Russians and the Iranians are used. You do both of those things, and from a military perspective, the momentum shifts to the rebels. What they do with that, how they take advantage of that, what the outcome is as a result of that, are all open questions.
Some have said, look, this is not our fight. The United States should not be involved. And yet people like Senator John McCain say this is not a humanitarian issue strictly. It is also a national security issue for the United States, because if Russia and Hezbollah and Iran succeed in keeping Assad in power, that only emboldens Iran and other groups of terrorists which threaten the United States. What do you think?
Well, I totally agree with that. I mean, every time we're taking action in the Middle East or working geopolitically, we have to keep our focus on what the major strategic issue in the region is, and that is the Iranian march to dominate the region, and that is why they obviously want nuclear weapons. Here in Syria, this is their #1 ally. That is why they are all in. It is so extraordinary, since the Iranian regime came to power, for them to put boots on the ground, thousands of Quds Force and Revolutionary Guard members to assist the Syrian military. They are all in here because of what this means to their desire to dominate the region. They need the anchor point of Syria. It's their link to Hezbollah. It's also related to what's going on in Iraq. This is the beginning of their domination. The fact of the matter is, if Syria falls and the rebels are able to take control, that is a strategic blow to the Iranians that they would have difficulty recovering from.
General Jack Keane, as always, sir, thank you so much.